One false move, and the whole species will be gone. And our own existence would disappear with it. Other freshwater inhabitants are not so well adapted, including Barrio lepus, one of the most abundant fish in the world.
The Barrio lepus is my best vision of what a fish in a suit of armor would look like, or a fish that thinks it's a lobster would look like. They would not have won any speed derby of any sort. On the other hand, it would have been armored to the point that it would have been very difficult to kill it.
But this well-protected creature is vulnerable to the changing environment. Each summer, colossal monsoons flood the rivers and streams where they make their home. Then the water quickly evaporates in the stifling heat. This relentless cycle has devastated their habitat. Barrio lepus and hundreds of other freshwater species are stranded in the mud, left to die in the scorching sun. "100,000 years after the superplume first assailed the Earth's crust, the merciless attack marches forward. Lava pours into the ocean. Toxic chemicals smother the sea bottom. The blazing sun scorches the globe. Earth's life force is fading fast. For the species that once flourished here, there's only one choice: adapt or die. How do we know so much about Tiktaalik? The very first Tiktaalik fossil was unearthed in Ellesmere Island, Canada, in 2004. Scientists wondered if this unusual fish ever walked on land. This wasn't easy to determine. The fossil Tiktaalik skeleton was only partially preserved, with no soft tissue like ligaments or muscles left behind. This presents a very difficult problem for scientists to unravel. How do scientists know Tiktaalik, the missing link between fish and amphibians, actually walked on land? The answer is hidden in the animal's bones. Tiktaalik's wrist bones attach to the elbow in a unique way, enabling this fish to do a push-up.
Because there are flexion points in, say, the wrist versus the elbow regions, this really represents one of the first elbow and wrist-like regions in an animal in history.
Though there is still plenty of debate, many scientists believe this feature helped Tiktaalik lift off the ground and amble around. Tiktaalik's descendants built on this amazing feature, and within 15 million years, they lived on land permanently. "250,000 years after our planet was attacked from within, death is winning the war against life. The superplume that first exploded near Siberia still spawns hellish volcanic eruptions. And just when it seems it can't get any worse, a surprising new killer joins the fray: plant life.
They had all the elements that they needed. An open landscape to occupy. They had water. They had plenty of carbon dioxide and sunlight.
Vegetation grows unchecked. Thousands of years of fallen leaves decay on the forest floor. The first layer of topsoil in Earth's history.
Prior to this, soils on Earth would have been very, very thin veneers covering bedrock. But once we had the development of deeply rooted plants and trees, they would have accelerated the formation of very, very deep and rich soil.
But what nurtures plants only brings death to the ocean. When it rains, soil washes out to sea. Algae absorbs the nutrients and grows out of control, sucking oxygen out of the water and suffocating marine life. Earth's coastlines are overrun. The sea turns green and sickly. Direct evidence of these horrible conditions is preserved in rock beds from the Devonian period.
In looking at Devonian oceans, one of the things that's very striking about sedimentary rocks deposited in these ocean basins is the abundance of very dark-colored sediments, black shales, dark-colored limestones. And these give evidence of very low oxygen conditions that were prevalent in many of the ocean basins at this time.
Just north of the equator, in what is now Morocco, the bottom waters have become a lonely graveyard. Bacterial slime is all that's left of this reef. For the few survivors, starvation is rampant. Once there were hundreds of Dunkleosteus here. Now only a handful are left. As hunger deepens, their insatiable appetites drive them to cannibalism. It's a terrible spectacle. Two starving sea beasts, each as big as a school bus, desperately trying to kill one another. A chunk out of one of these monsters is a good meal, but it can't stave off the inevitable. The king of the Devonian seas, the T-Rex of its time, is doomed. It is now 300,000 years into the extinction. And Earth inches closer to becoming a dead planet. The polluted oceans have claimed millions of species. The flame of a once flourishing animal kingdom is now flickering towards total annihilation. But a few resilient creatures are finding amazing ways to survive. In what is now Australia, an animal called Motherfish weathers the storm. Although these fish are small enough to hold in your hand, they can crush a clamshell with their powerful tooth plates. But it's not their eating habits that make them so special. Motherfish, which means motherfish, is the first animal known to give birth to live young. In 2005, a fossil Motherfish was unearthed in Australia with the skeleton of another tiny fish in its abdomen. Scientists realized this had to be its offspring.
There are fossilized embryos of babies inside of this specimen that are not concentrated down low where, say, the stomach would have otherwise been, but are actually much, much more anterior or toward the front of the animal.
It's a critical adaptation. By protecting young inside their bodies, female Motherfish help their children survive into adulthood. Maternal instinct, born out of Armageddon, but will it be enough? 750,000 years after the superplume went on the offensive, its fury has ravaged the planet. But now, it has a new tactic. To this point, eruptions have been confined to the sea. Now, it it will attack by land. Geysers of liquid fire soar hundreds of feet into the air. A terrifying show of force. Ash fills the sky in a suffocating death cloud. The planet is turning itself inside out.